Over the weekend, authorities arrested an armed man pretending to be a part of a U.S. presidential candidate Robert Kennedy Jr.'s security detail, raising concerns about the need for a secret security service. Kai Vilan tells us more.
An armed man was taken into police custody at a Robert Kennedy Jr. campaign event in Los Angeles. Despite the man's claims, campaign security officials did not recognize him and detained him until police arrived. According to the Los Angeles Police Department, a radio call was generated in the afternoon, reporting a man with a loaded gun in a shoulder holster and a badge stating he was a US Marshal. Police officers arrived shortly after and arrested a man who was identified as Adrian Paul Ispuro, 44 years old. He is currently being held in Los Angeles on a $35,000 bail for a felony charge of carrying a concealed weapon. Kennedy's camp issued a statement on Saturday saying that a private security team interacted with Ispuro ahead of the speech. Ispuro insisted that he was part of Kennedy's security detail and asked to be taken to him immediately. Kennedy Jr. had been asking for Secret Service protection, and following the assassination scare, his campaign manager had written to U.S. President Joe Biden asking for a Secret Service protection for the presidential candidate. The Kennedy campaign is sensitive to assassination and security concerns given the history of the family. Robert Kennedy Jr.'s father, Senator Robert Kennedy Sr., was assassinated in 1968 in Los Angeles shortly after winning the California Democratic presidential primary. His uncle, President John F. Kennedy, was assassinated in 1963. That is why the presidential hopeful had been asking for Secret Service protection. However, Kennedy Jr. noted the Biden administration had denied him such security, despite that he had requested it from the Department of Homeland Security and had documented the need for it. The Security Service protection issue was raised again through a letter that his campaign manager sent to President Biden. Kennedy said he was the first presidential candidate in history to be denied protection upon request, although he is still hoping that Biden will allow him Secret Service protection. Reporting for Newsline World, Kai Vilan, SM9 News.
For the first time in history, the United States has exceeded its national debt amounting to $33 trillion. Jane Domingo has the details.
The U.S. gross national debt exceeded $33 trillion for the first time on Monday, and this milestone was noted in a daily report of the country's Treasury Department, which detailed the balance sheet of the U.S. It came as the Congress appeared to be faltering in its efforts to fund the American government ahead of the deadline on September 30. The Bank of America said that there's a 50% chance that the U.S. government will face a shutdown if Congress fails to reach a solution by the end of September. To recall, on January 19, the U.S. hit its $31.4 trillion debt ceiling. In June, a debt ceiling bill suspended the effect of the U.S. federal government debt ceiling until 2025, and then the size of the federal government debt quickly exceeded to $32 trillion. To recall, Fitch, one of the three major independent agencies that assess creditworthiness, downgraded the U.S. long-term foreign currency issuer default rating to AA+ from AAA over concerns about the high and growing debt burden of the U.S. government. It also expected that U.S.'s rating will continue to deteriorate over the next 3 years. Reporting, this has been Jean Domingo, SM9 News.
An American jet reportedly went missing after the pilot ejected over South Carolina. And in the latest update of the events, U.S. military officials have found the debris of the said jet, although the rest of it is still missing. Verhil Parba files this report.
On Sunday, an F-35 military jet went missing after the pilot ejected from the cockpit and parachuted to safety in North Charleston neighborhood. The pilot, whose name was not disclosed, was taken to a local medical center and is in stable condition. The F-35B Lightning II jet, which cost $100 million, was left in autopilot mode when the pilot ejected. Reports citing U.S. authorities said that the plane may have been airborne for some time, and this complicated the search for its whereabouts. The search for the jet drew great international interest, particularly after Joint Base Charleston posted a request on social media asking for any information that might aid in the search of the missing jet. The incident also gained criticism, with Representative Nancy Mace in a social media post asking how it was possible to lose an F-35. The Marine Corps announced earlier Monday that it was pausing aviation operations for 2 days following the F-35's crash. Lockheed Martin boasts the F-35 series as the most advanced fighter jet in the world and also the most lethal, stealthy, and survivable aircraft. The debris was then discovered Monday evening about 2 hours northeast of Joint Base Charleston, an air base in North Charleston. U.S. officials did not provide further details. When asked whether F-35 jet had crashed, Jeremy Huggins, a spokesman at Joint Base Charleston, said that he was unable to elaborate, but he promised that more information will be forthcoming. This is the third costly accident that occurred in recent weeks. On August 3, U.S. Marines were killed in a crash of a V-22B Osprey tilt-rotor aircraft during a training exercise in Australia. On August 26, a Marine Corps pilot was killed when his combat jet crashed near a base in San Diego during a training flight. Reporting, this has been Verhil Parba, SMNI News.
The United States and Iran have officially swapped prisoners, held on each side. Washington also released $6 billion in frozen Iranian funds as part of a rare deal between the arch enemies. Melchizedek Cadiz has the details.
In a rare diplomatic move, 5 Americans detained in Iran finally returned to the United States as part of the prisoner exchange deal between the two countries. The United States has also released 5 Iranian detainees, with 2 finally returning to Iran, while the other 3 prefer to stay in another country. The prisoner exchange occurred after Washington transferred $6 billion in frozen Iranian oil money from South Korea to Qatar, with the oil-rich Gulf state mediating the deal. The prisoners could only board the plane after Washington completed the cash transfer. The Biden administration warned that the released Iranian funds will only be used for humanitarian purposes and will freeze them again if diverted. Responding to Washington's threat, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi insisted that the money belongs to the Iranian people and the Iranian government, so the Islamic Republic can decide what to do with the released funds. Reporting, this has been Melchizedek Cadiz, SMNI News, Kuwait.